Welcome to my Get Ready With Me. Let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to use is my L'Oreal Glotion and my NYX Plump It Right Back Primer. I might use them if I get this shit open. Jesus Christ. The next thing I'm going to do is my eyebrows, and I'm going to be using my It Cosmetics pencil with the e.l.f. Wow Brow Gel. And then I'll go over with two shades from the James Charles palette to try to get my red shade matched. Oh my gosh, my flyaways are always in the way. Also, I've been obsessed with this new drink, the Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream version. It is so fucking good. Luckily, it's actually part of their permanent line, so they're not going to remove it. And it's actually one of the best drinks that I've ever had in my life. If you see it, you have to try it. I've been really wanting to invest in getting like nice jewelry, but I don't really know like where to start. But I do know that buying cheap jewelry just really isn't it for me right now, because they keep getting all gross and fucked up like a year later. So if anyone has any like recommendations on like what jewelry companies to try, let me know. And now I'm just going in with those two red shades and packing them into my brow to give them the red color. Also, I feel like I need to address the fact that I know my brows look legit crazy when I first do them, but by the time the rest of my makeup gets done, then I like powder over them and brush through them with a spoolie, they don't look crazy as fuck anymore. But at the beginning, they definitely look like blocks. The next thing I'm going to use is my Glossier Stretch Concealer. This one is actually one of my favorites, especially in the winter when my skin is super dry. This stuff is actually pretty buildable, which I do really enjoy. If I have some extra redness or some like spots on my face like I currently do, if I go through and conceal it twice, and even if I let it dry for just like a minute on there, I do notice that I get even a little bit more coverage. I know that Glossier has the reputation for being like zero coverage or anything, but I do think that you can get some out of their products if you know how to use them correctly. That sounds snotty as fuck. Not that there's like a right way to do makeup or anything, but I find on my skin that I can make that work for me. Glossier also has the best customer service known to man. I got this concealer in a shade that was just a little bit too dark for me, but it was like they had a shade expansion. And so I ordered my first shade, and then it got here, and I realized that I probably should have ordered the lighter shade. And so I emailed them, and I was just asking if I could exchange it. And I was like totally willing to send it back, obviously, because like I was the one who fucked up. And they just sent me a whole new shade, and they didn't make me exchange the other one, which was super, super nice of them. I also think it's really cool that they're finally getting put into Sephora stores. And so after I finish concealing literally my whole face, I'll go through and blend it out with a beauty blender, and then I'll go in with a second layer on any areas I feel like I want just like a tad bit more coverage, which is usually mostly everywhere, but it's so lightweight that I'm not even gonna notice it on my face. It doesn't feel like a whole lot of product or anything like that. Also, I know this isn't like a ton of coverage, but that's not what I'm going for today. I'm trying to do more of a little natural look, but by that I mean I'm probably gonna fucking end up putting glitter on my eyes. So the next thing I'm gonna go in with is a little bit of my Glossier Cloud Paint in Puff. The little pink shade is so cute and I really do love it. Next, I'm going to set my face with my Sephora microsmooth powder. I really do want to do a full face of Glossier before they actually come to Sephora because I do really enjoy a lot of their products and I feel like it would just be super fun. Next, I'm going to set my face with my Laura Mercier loose powder in all the areas that I get oily and underneath my eyes. I will actually set more places on my face when I do use this concealer, just because it is really hydrating and I do tend to get oily a little bit faster with it. But I still prefer it over any other concealer in the winter just because my skin gets so dry and this is the only thing that doesn't accentuate the dry patches on my skin. Next, I'm going to use my Physicians Formula bronzer. Next, I'm going to use my Becca blush in Camellia, I think is the shade name. Yesterday, it snowed a shit ton in Nebraska. And so I got to go outside and take my dog, Jen, for a walk, who is a husky, so she absolutely loves the snow. And it was super fun. And then afterwards, I just laid in the snow outside like I did when I was a little kid. And it was so fun. I haven't done that in years, and it was just nice and like so peaceful. My boyfriend even took a video of me laying out there, and I'm sure my neighbors were like, what the fuck is she doing? But it was worth it. Then I'll clean all of that up with my Sephora Micro Smooth powder again. If they ever discontinued this powder, my life would actually be over. I feel like it's probably fairly comparable to the Kosas powder, but I've never actually used that one, and I feel like they don't really have that great of a shade range, especially in a lot of their powder products. So good. Like, I would kiss this drink if I could. I think I'm going to use my Glossier haloscope first and then set it with Becca's Moonstone highlighter. I actually do really like this highlighter, and I think that you can use most of Glossier's products over powder. I never really have a problem with them like lifting my foundation or my concealer or anything like that. On even more natural days than this, I love wearing this, just with like the cloud paint. And I feel like it gives my face just like enough of something to look a little bit put together, but not too much. It's fantastic. And now with Moonstone. I typically don't actually like more gold tone highlighters on my skin, but I feel like I can get away with this one because it is such a pale gold. And I do love that about this one because I feel like I have a really hard time finding anything with a gold reflect to not look so like stark on my face. I can't believe these highlighters used to be like the end all be all highlighter. Next, I'm going to go in with my Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette. And I think I'm going to keep my eyeshadow just super natural tonight because I'm not really doing much and I just don't feel like having a crazy eye look on today. So I'm first going to start out with the shade Nudie. There was like one day right before it got really cold again and snowed that it was really nice and warm outside, and I feel like it just activated my allergies and I can't breathe. My voice also sounds kind of like, I feel like this is not going to make sense, but it sounds like gummy for my voice and it's kind of bothering me and I feel silly, especially when I'm trying to like talk and be recorded like while I'm speaking, just because I feel like my voice sounds like the clown version of me and it's making me violently uncomfortable. Even though I actually don't even, like, I don't feel sick or anything. It's literally just that I'm like congested. I also feel like every single time that I try to go in and do like a super natural eyeshadow look, I end up adding like a shimmer or something that makes it look not as natural, and I already can feel myself doing that today, so I guess we'll see. I've used this Naked Ultimate Basics palette a lot more than I thought that I actually would, just because it has literally everything you could need, and I actually do love a lot of the shades in here. They're just the perfect, exact, like, basic shade. I've also had this palette for, like, far longer than I should have, and I know that it's definitely expired, but, like, does anyone actually throw out their makeup when they're supposed to, unless they're, like, a makeup artist or something? I will with certain things, but eyeshadow is fucking not gonna be one of them. Because this shit's expensive. I'm paying, like, money for these palettes. I'm not about to throw them out. Oh my god, my skin looks so creamy when I use that concealer. Is that a weird thing to say? Next, I'm going to use a little bit of Faith on my outer, like, eyelid portion. Just to deepen that up, like, a tad bit. Not a whole lot, though, because I still so fucking tight. I still do want to keep it a little more natural. And unfortunately, I will be going in with an eyeshadow wing. I knew I was gonna fucking do it. What did I say? Next, I'm gonna use a teeny tiny angled brush and go in with the shade Lockout. And I think I'm just gonna, actually, that's a fucking lie. I'm about to do some other shit. Next, I'm actually gonna use Colourpop's eyeshadow in the shade Ritz on my, like, inner eyelid. This shade super reminds me of Fenty Beauty's Diamond Bomb, but if it had kind of like a brown base instead of just like the clear that the Diamond Bomb has. I love using this for a cheaper alternative, but I still don't think that it would ever replace my Diamond Bomb. That product is so unique and I'll always have it in my collection, but this is like a close second if you can't afford that one, or if you do prefer to have just like a slight base. But as you can tell, like, it's not going to change the shade of my eyelids so much where it makes a huge difference, but I probably still wouldn't put this over like a pink eyeshadow look or something like that, but it is still so good. And I don't think I'm gonna pack it on. I'm gonna leave it a little bit more dispersed still, since I do this want this to be sort of natural, even though this basically is glitter. I also just realized that I left my dryer running during this whole thing, which is right next to my room, so if you can just hear that the whole video, I'm gonna have to sit out life permanently. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the shade Lockout, and I'm just going to use a tiny little angled brush, and I'm going to go in from the middle of my eye and then do like a little baby wing. But since I'm using eyeshadow and like a super light brown shade, it's still going to be pretty diffused, so it'll look natural. Okay, so when I'm done with that, I always go in with jcat's Aquasurance powder foundation. I know some people go back in with their concealer and like clean it up and all that shit, but I'm a grown-ass fucking woman and I don't have time for that. So fuck what you heard. We're using powder foundations for this step now, and I'll go in with a different angled brush and then I'll just clean it up with that. So then I get this bright-ass white line, and then I just buff it out later with the Sephora microsmooth on a smaller brush, and then it looks totally fine. All right, next I'll set my face with my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. This is not fucking natural. I'm such a liar, bro. I can't help myself. As I'm waiting for this to dry, I will let you guys know that I started a puzzle that my boyfriend got me for Valentine's Day, and I'm like obsessed with puzzles to the point where I'll sit down for like 6 hours and just keep doing it. And I'm actually like making some progress, but it's like a hard ass puzzle. It's making me sort of frustrated, but I feel very rewarded when I get portions of it done. And then I'll just push in my setting spray with my beauty blender. I just got the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, and I do not really like it. I don't know why. I think I'm going to try it out a couple more times. But the one time I used it, I was like severely underwhelmed. Luckily, I just got the mini traveling size, so it wasn't like that big of a purchase or anything. And I'm fully aware that I could return it, but I'm a lazy bitch and I'm not going to be returning anything. Then I'm going to go in with my NYX On The Rise mascara. I think I'm gonna start trying to do like one video a week just so that I have that kind of like creative outlet and something fun to do. Maybe next week I'll do like a baby pink eyeshadow look, because I do that constantly at work. Okay, and then for my lips, I'm going to use Physicians Formula Butter Lip Cream in Pinkini. I'm just gonna dab a little bit on because I don't like the feeling of anything on my lips, and then pat it out. The shade is like really close to my natural, which I do love. Their whole butter line is fire. Like every product hits. And then I'm going to use NYX's Butter Gloss in the shade Creme Brulee over it. And there is the final look. I'm going to go fix my hair and I'll be right back. And that concludes my Get Ready With Me. Thanks for hanging out with me today.